She's the Ohio teenager convicted of murdering her boyfriend and his friend.
Radio. This car's split in two.
Mackenzie Shirilla purposely drove her car into a wall, taking those two young lives. And now, a big case shakeup. What a judge says her attorneys didn't do that seems to have torched her plans to get out from behind bars, maybe ever again. There is no doubt that the story of what Mackenzie Shirilla did is incredibly tragic, and it's heartbreaking, and it changed lives forever. Not just the people who were in the car she was driving on that terrible night. Now, Mackenzie has said ever since 2022 that her side of the story is that she has no idea what happened, and everything we're about to talk about was a total accident. And we'll lay this case out for you once again so you can see it and you can make that decision for yourself. But even after the verdict, Mackenzie Shirilla has stood by that this was just an accident. But we're following another big update in her case because her attorneys tried to appeal, and that was just shot down.
Mackenzie's family will grieve for the future of their daughter. All three of these families and the friends of these families are suffering, and all of their lives have been irrevocably changed because of the actions of the defendant.
This was just part of the blistering sentencing that was made by a judge in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, back in August of 2023. Mackenzie Shirilla's attorneys, they've been trying to get her a new trial, and in just a moment, we'll talk about what they didn't do that made any effort to get Mackenzie into a courtroom again with a chance at a clean slate and a different verdict impossible. And the decision made by the court not to let her appeal, it really has nothing to do with the evidence of the case. Now, before we get to that part, I want to remind you of this story and the tragedy that left a hole in a small community in Ohio. This is Mackenzie Shirilla, and she seemed like a typical 17-year-old girl. This is something from back in 2022. These are videos that she had posted to her TikTok. Now, back then, Mackenzie was dating a 20-year-old. His name was Dominic Russo. They had met in school. He graduated. This is a pic of the two of them together. And the two reportedly had dated for multiple years, and they actually lived together in one of Dominic's family's homes. But don't let the pictures that make them look like a happy couple fool you, because their relationship was far from perfect. Family said that this couple would often fight. Russo's mom said the couple would make threats against one another.
Like before, you lied. You lied and said you would never lock me out of the house again. That is why we got back together last time we broke up. But I forgot. You can never
broke up with me
your
earlier.
word because you are.
You broke up with me earlier. You really broke up with me earlier.
This is your last chance to open the door, or you are not coming out of this house all night, because I will not leave.
This is a phone call between Mackenzie and Dominic that was part of evidence in the case, and it just gives you a glimpse of what this relationship was like. And in the early hours of the morning, on July 31st, 2022, this toxic relationship took a deadly turn. So this is video of Mackenzie driving more than 100 miles per hour into a wall. Dominic was in the car, as well as their friend Davion Flanagan, and both of those boys died. But at this point, it didn't seem like murder.
Duty.
Radio. This car's split in two. Radio, there's an occupant inside. Send us a squad now. We gotta bust the window out. Send us some more units.
Any more units to progress now, Anita?
Now!
What are we doing?
31, one up. 60 on Westwood, on the 3 on Alameda.
This is not a fresh accident either. She's been here for a while. Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. ×3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing.
I copy.
Bust that window out. Rookie. Oh my God, dude.
This is video of police rushing to the car to see if anyone survived. Now, this crash happened in the very early hours of the morning, and police wouldn't find this wreckage until hours later. And this, just look at this here, a clear picture of just how bad this car was mangled. Mackenzie's claimed that she was behind the wheel, but she blacked out. All of this was an accident, even though video shows the car clearly accelerating at a very fast pace to hit more than 100 miles per hour. Now, there is zero doubt that Mackenzie's lucky to be alive. She was airlifted to the hospital with multiple fractures, but she survived. The 2 men in the car, Dominic and Davion, they weren't so lucky. Now, in the vehicle, as police went through the wreckage, they found a weed pen, a bong, and multiple grams of marijuana. And that evidence, that played a role in the story that prosecutors told at her trial. And a big part of this case, and it's been something after the verdict that has continued to be a big part of her case, is the question of whether Mackenzie Shirilla had any remorse for what happened. And had she been able to appeal, that might have been something that could have been central to her argument that all of this was just an accident. Now, Mackenzie was recovering in the hospital, and when she was recovering in the hospital, she really played the role of a grieving girlfriend who was the victim of a bad accident. Prosecutors would later argue that she wanted to turn her role as victim into something where she could make money as a model.
The police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the Flats. And again, Your Honor, I'm introducing these to the court to show the shocking lack of remorse. This was something that was being exhibited while the investigation was still going on, before she was charged and arrested in November of last year. And these were the sort of things that were coming to the police, and the shocking lack of remorse, coupled with the fact that the defendant was reported driving an automobile shortly after this event, that she was seen in Strongsville again driving a car. In spite of the fact that, as her mother testified, she got dizzy sometimes from a condition that she had to take salt pills for, in spite of the fact that it was, in fact, her mother who provided her with the car that she used to take Dominic and Davion's life.
Even more, frankly, disturbing, a classmate shared this text message with investigators that show Mackenzie asking him to go get pictures of her from Dominic's room and to put them in Dominic's casket at his funeral. So, quote, he can be with me forever. Another odd, if not concerning, act that she took after the crash was Shirilla went to a concert. And the months after this accident, she was in a wheelchair, as you can see here, and prosecutors used that at trial. But as Mackenzie played the part of the victim in all of this, authorities built their case, and in November 2022, she was arrested.
Where's she? Right back there, pal.
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it.
Do you want my glasses?
No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here. I'm not gonna tighten these, okay? I don't want to hurt you. You good? Are they good? Thank you. This cruiser right here.
Actually, he took her out of the car and we did not.
Okay. Do you have anything out of pockets, anything like that? We're gonna watch your head going in. Don't. I'm not gonna hurt you. You okay?
Here is video of Shirilla in the back of the cruiser being taken to the county jail, and she seems solemn, she seems emotional. Mackenzie went on trial in 2023. She argued that she didn't remember what happened, that all of this was an accident. But prosecutors, they say that this was a toxic relationship taking that deadly turn. And when Mackenzie turned onto a road in the early hours of that morning in July in 2022, she put her foot on the gas and the car accelerated to the point where it was going over 100 miles per hour, crashing into that wall. And that crash took the lives of the two young men who were also with her in the vehicle. At her trial, a judge found Mackenzie guilty on 12 charges, 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. Now, it was a judge that made that decision because Mackenzie and her attorneys opted for a bench trial instead of having a jury decide her fate. The sentencing, it was very, very emotional. This is what Mackenzie said in the courtroom.
Is there anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davia, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davia. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you can hear there that Mackenzie was still claiming that all of this, everything we've been talking about, was not her fault, that she was just a victim of an accident and she didn't know what happened. And if she had appealed, her defense may have pointed to what they believed was a lack of evidence proving that it was an accident. But we'll talk in just a moment about why she won't have the chance to do that and the clerical error, in some sense, that could have a lifetime of an impact on Mackenzie Shirilla beyond what she has already been found guilty of. Now, prior to Mackenzie's victim impact statement, we need to talk about this because her mom addressed the court trying to stand up for her daughter, and the judge was just not having it.
She would never, ever, ever murder the love of her life, okay? For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go. Have just a moment of fun. A moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world. Her whole world. So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes, okay? And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the two dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No. Okay. God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know too much for him.
Isn't that part of the problem, Mrs. Shirilla?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's a problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never...
Well, we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
Then at this sentencing, the judge spoke to the courtroom. This is what she said.
There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family or Davion's family or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence, but I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years.
So let's get into what happened this week. So there are some important dates to remember when it comes to Mackenzie's case and why the final effort, potentially, that she had to reverse her courtroom verdict won't happen. Shirilla was sentenced to 15 years to life in state prison. She was found guilty on August 14th, 2023, and she was sentenced on August 21st, 2023. Her attorneys filed an appeal on October 24th, 2024. All of these dates are very important, and here's why. Her attorneys argued that there wasn't enough evidence to prove that Mackenzie meant to kill Russo and Flanagan. And that issue, it appears, won't be debated in court again because the appeal was rejected, and that rejection was not based on the facts of the case, but it was because her appeal was filed too late, just a day after the deadline to submit it. Shirilla and her attorneys have appealed that decision, the decision to not let her appeal. And one of those arguments was that 2024 was a leap year, so they should get an extra day. But the court ruled against that. And this week, the 8th Appellate Court in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, that's where Cleveland is, said that they will not let her appeal her verdict. And on top of that, the Ohio Supreme Court already ruled against even hearing the case. So it is possible that Shirilla could spend the rest of her life in prison because of what she did on that night in 2022. But it's also possible, with 15 years to life as her sentence, that she could be released on parole when she's roughly 34 years old, which would be in 2038. That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law&Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also now streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Hey, don't move! What the hell are you doing here? I'm getting gas, sir, that's it. Step the hell back from the vehicle. Now! I'm active duty Marine. I can show ID if you want. Damn about your ID. Turn around. Hands visible.
The body cam timestamp reads 21:43, fluorescent gas station lights buzzing like insects in the Texas heat. A black man in desert camouflage stands beside his car, hands visible, posture drilled by years of discipline. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't flinch. The officer does. Within 12 minutes, a decorated U.S. Marine is face down on concrete, accused of resisting an order that was never lawful to begin with. By morning, the Pentagon is calling, and someone's career and freedom is already over. But before this story unfolds, take a moment to stay with it. Stories like this don't survive on outrage alone. They survive because people choose to witness them. Subscribe, not for drama, but to follow the truth wherever it leads. A gas station sat just off the highway, a rectangle of white light floating in the dark like a stage with no audience. Trucks hissed past in the distance, the smell of fuel mixed with burnt coffee and hot asphalt. It was 9:43 p.m., according to the timestamp later pulled from surveillance footage, the kind of ordinary hour when nothing is supposed to happen. Staff Sergeant Marcus Reed stepped out of his car slowly, the way muscle memory had taught him to move. His uniform was clean but worn, desert camo softened by years of washing, name tape stitched straight across his chest. He had just finished a 12-hour drive back from a training facility in Oklahoma, orders folded neatly in his glove compartment. He needed gas, caffeine, and 10 quiet minutes before the road again. Inside the store, the bell chimed. Outside, another sound cut through the night tires crunching on gravel. A low engine idle that didn't belong to the highway. A patrol car rolled in and stopped at an angle that felt deliberate. Marcus noticed it without turning his head. He felt the familiar tightening in his shoulders, the silent calculation. Hands visible. Posture neutral. No sudden movements. He had learned those rules long before the Marine Corps, but the Corps had perfected them into instinct. The officer stepped out slowly. Male. Early 30s. One hand resting on his belt, close enough to the holster to be noticed without being obvious. The body cam was already on. "Hey," the officer said, voice clipped. Not raised but sharp. "What are you doing here?" Marcus paused. He turned halfway, enough to be seen clearly, enough to show the uniform. "Getting gas, sir." The word sir came automatically. It always did. The officer's eyes flicked down, then back up, not lingering on the uniform long enough to register respect. His gaze hardened instead. "You live around here?" the officer asked. Marcus shook his head once, just passing through. The officer took a step closer. The distance closed fast inside what Marines call reactionary gap. A space where things can go wrong in a heartbeat. Marcus stayed still. "Step away from the vehicle," the officer said. Marcus blinked. "Is there a problem?" The pause after that question would later be dissected frame by frame. In the moment it was just silence. Heavy. Loaded. "I said step away from the vehicle," the officer repeated, louder now. Marcus complied, hands open, palms forward. The gas nozzle clanged softly as it slipped free, fuel dripping onto concrete. The sound echoed. "I'm active duty Marine Corps," Marcus said calmly. "I can show you my ID." "If I didn't ask for a speech," the officer cut in. "I asked you to follow instructions." There it was. The shift. Not from calm to chaos, but from neutrality to control. According to Department Policy 204, use of authority, an officer must articulate reasonable suspicion before issuing detainment commands. No such articulation appears in the bodycam audio. Just tone. Just assumption. Marcus stood there under the lights, uniform illuminated, insignia catching reflections. A man trained to obey lawful orders now faced an unlawful one, and the conflict showed not on his face, but in the way his jaw tightened. "I'm following instruction," he said evenly. "I just need to understand why." The officer's hand moved, not to the gun, to the radio. "Dispatch. I've got a suspicious male refusing commands," he said. Suspicious, the word landed like a verdict. Marcus's breathing slowed. In his head, training manuals overlapped, Marine Corps de-escalation protocols, Texas Penal Code, sections he'd memorized for civilian carry, unwritten rules passed down from father to son. Survive the encounter. Don't escalate. Don't argue tone with power. Turn around. The officer ordered.